I'm going to show you how you can get deals directly from sellers, no estate agents, directly from sellers, and the bottom drawer deals. If you're joining me for the first time, my name is Cam Devedi. I'm the founder of Premier Property. I'm an investor developer, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to create your own financial economy using property as the vehicle, like I've done for myself and like I've done for my family. So let's continue and let's discuss this. Now, this is the fourth video in a 5-part video series. Now, if you haven't watched video number 1, which is all about how you take the phone call from the owner, from the seller, if you haven't watched video number 2, which is all about preparation, and if you haven't watched video number 3, which is about how you get to the meeting and start the fact find, then I would urge you to actually watch these videos 1, 2, and 3. You can watch this one now, and feel free to jump back and watch 1, 2, 3 as well in this 5-part video series, and it's all about sellers. So let's jump straight in. Now, you're already in the meeting, you already done the fact find, so that's all fine. You've gathered lots of information, why the seller actually wants to sell, and what are their key points that you can use for negotiation. Because remember me mentioning this to you, because the key is not about the price. The key is, what is it does a seller actually want? You know, what solution can you offer? It definitely is about having a solution rather than a price. Because if you just give them a price, they're not going to do the deal. Simple as. You know, in my experience, it's just a price, it's kind of game over in terms of deals. But if you can offer them a solution, then it's a case of the fact that they will actually work with you, and then the price is the secondary thing. And I'll explain this through this video as we're discussing it. So you've already found out the facts of what the situation is with the seller, and right now you are also checking in the property, so you know the condition of the property. So you kind of worked out, we have a whole system for this at Premier Property, so you know what the works are required in that property as well to make it into a good condition. So armed with these facts, what you're doing now is the third part, which is you assess, is it actually a real deal? Does it actually work? Keeping in mind that not everything out there is going to be a deal for you. So, sometimes what we have to do is we walk away from deals knowing that it wasn't a deal in the first place. So let me give you an example, specific example. So we were in one of our gold mine areas that we invest in at Premier Property, went to a vendor, and literally what they'd done is they'd called up 4 other estate agents, and they'd called us as well. So we went there, and only to find that they weren't really too interested in a discounted deal. They just wanted to find out how much you would offer. And they'd already got, like I said, 4 estate agents pipeline where they were actually having their signboards up there in the coming week. So they weren't really in a motivated situation. You need to be working with people that are motivated to move forward, right? So thinking about this, not every deal is a deal. So once you've got the facts from the vendor and you've assessed the property, it's then a decision time on deciding whether you want to make an offer or not. Yeah. So you can do this. Now, even if it's not going to be, even if you think it's not worth making an offer, I would still suggest make an offer, because you just never know. We've bought on the flip side, we've bought properties where I didn't really want to buy the property, but we bought it because we gave them such a low offer, and the vendor said yes. Those moments will also happen for you as well. So always make an offer. You just don't know, right? But I'm just saying, be conscious of the fact, as I mentioned, right? So you're there, you've done the fact find. Now it's about understanding what the situation is. So let me share with you a situation that we had with a vendor. So this gentleman was actually getting repossessed, or actually on the verge of getting repossessed. The repossession papers hadn't come in yet. They were in arrears, and now they were getting heavy penalties. They were already 3 months in arrears, and the mortgage company was writing to them, preparing for a repossession to happen. Now, here what's really important after your fact find, this is about the negotiation part, right? It's really important that you give people a reality check. Now, the thing is, when people are in those types of situations, they sometimes, unfortunately, have got their priorities the wrong way around, because they think that something magically is going to appear and is going to help them out. something that's magically going to appear in front of them. But that ain't going to happen. So all that happens is the situation gets worse and worse and worse and worse. They really got their head stuck in the sand, unfortunately, and they're just thinking that everything's going to work out, and then they get repossessed. So it's on you to actually point out the reality. So one of the things that you can do, if someone's on the verge of getting repossessed, you point out, do you know what happens when you go through a repossession? Do you know, Mr. Seller, that first thing what's going to happen? So you paint a picture for them, and you be honest with it as well, because that is what's going to happen, unfortunately. So keep in mind that you are helping yourself to be a good business person in property, because that's what you are, right? Whether you're new or whether you're experienced. And at the same time, you're offering an honest solution for the seller, but you got to be real with them. So you remind them of the situation. So, Mr. Seller, it goes something like this. So, John, so using John Smith. So, John, you do realize, don't you, what actually happens in repossession? So right now you're in arrears of over 3 months. The next thing that's going to happen is that the bank are going to start adding extra charges onto this, and then you'll get a repossession notice. Now, once you get repossessed, what's going to happen then is, first of all, they're going to come in, the bailiff's going to come in, they're going to take all your belongings out and put them outside so that all your neighbors are going to see. You already have, your wife already doesn't think very highly of you. You're in a situation where you're already divorced. What will she think? So you're painting a picture. You're painting an honest picture, but you're just letting them know what the feelings that they're going to be going through. So what will she think of you? What will your neighbors think of you? Now that's not it, John. What's going to happen next is that you are going to get a CCJ. You're going to find that your credit report is going to be just literally shattered. So if you go for rented accommodation, or if you try to buy another property, or if you try to get anything financially, what you're going to find is that you're going to get decline from that because of your credit file. Then do you know what's going to happen next, John? So you're painting this picture as you're going along. So the next thing that's going to happen is, once you've paid off that loan, or you let 6 years go by, then what you'll find is that the bank's going to come back after you with extra charges potentially, and they're going to ask for the rest of the money. That's how repossession works. And to be fair, you don't want to scare them, but you are just painting that picture, like I say, of showing them what's exactly going to happen. And once people understand that they need to do something now, they will actually do something now. Otherwise, where if they're in a position where they're just sitting on the fence, or they haven't really got any commitment, or they haven't really got any pain, they haven't really got any reason to move forward, they won't move forward. If you show them that there is a lot of pain, that you need to move forward, seller, you need to do something now, there's no waiting, then what you find is people start to move forward. If I'm making sense for you. So you let them know the reality of what's going to happen, whatever that situation is. I've shared one situation with you. And at that point, now you continue the negotiation. Now, the way we do this at Premier Property, we're very fair with our negotiations. So I will always find out, the current situation of their finances. So what is the mortgage loan? How much are they actually outstanding? Because you can't offer them something that is more than the amount that they've got to pay off. Now, with these, we have creative strategies. So it's about bringing out your toolkit with your creative strategies, where that might be a lease option for potentially. That might be a delayed completion. That might be an assigned contract that you do, an assisted sale. So there could be many different types of creative strategies, and which you have in your toolkit, like we have at Premier Property. So as you're listening and as you're negotiating, you've got the facts, now you're working out what the negotiation is. Now, let's say it's a straight purchase. So the next thing that I would do with a straightforward purchase is find out, if you're following me, I would find out from them, what is the amount of money that they actually got outstanding in the mortgage. Find out exactly how many months of arrears there are, so add those in. And also bear in mind that there are going to be some extra costs that the bank is going to be adding in, and there'll be some extra interest elements that will come in once you come to completion with that project. So I would just add in a small percentage for that. So think about what the actual arrears are and just add in another 10% as a contingency for any other associated costs. So if they're 3 months in arrears, let's say that's £3,000, I would just add in as a contingency 10%. So that's another £300. So rather than £3,000, it will be 3,300. Hopefully you're following me now. So now you got this. So you got a figure, and remember, you've already gone in armed and ready with your comparables. So you know the highest price possible in and around that area, and you also know the lowest price possible. And what you're aiming to do is, of course, get the lowest price possible. Now, at this point, I would say to the seller something like this. Mr. Seller, you do realize, don't you, that I'm a property investor? You do realize that I make my living by being a property investor and a developer? And usually the answer is nodding head, yes. And also, why are you asking me that? But that you're getting them to confirm that, you understand that. And then the third part that you say to this is, would you agree that I need to make some money from this property because this is how I earn my living? Is that fair, Mr. Seller? So what you're doing here is you're getting them to understand that you have a profit margin that you need to make and that you're here for a reason and it's your business. So once the seller understands this, they become more amicable to a discount because they start thinking about you as well as they're thinking about themselves. They start thinking, well, okay, this guy, this girl, she's here and he's here, and they've got to, it makes sense, doesn't it? It becomes logical that you got to actually make some money from it, So they feel a little bit obliged that you're spending some time there, and you know what? You've been honest and you've done something that many other people out there won't do. They just come in, like a raging bull, go around the property and say, right, this is what I'm going to offer you. And they give some ridiculous 50% below market value offer, which they're never going to accept. There's no way they're going to get that deal. You have taken the time, you've listened to them, you've prepared correctly, you're in there now, and now you're negotiating with them. So you work out the figures. Once you've worked out the figures, have a look at your comparables. So does it fit into the parameters of the lowest comparable? If it fits into the parameters of the lowest comparable, then a Premier Property, that is the offer I would make to them. If we find that the property value in terms of what they have outstanding, so all of the outstanding that they've got to pay off, is higher than the lowest comparable, yet there is still a profit margin in there which you can make a good amount of money from, then I would still offer them more money, still do the deal, and still make a nice chunky profit margin in there. So thinking of it as a business, thinking of people and treating them like people, making the deal actually physically happen. These are the things that you've got to be thinking about while you're negotiating, if you're following what I'm saying here. Now, once you've done this, the next thing is to just be honest with them and relay the information. So, John, your property's got great potential. I understand that you actually need £128,000 here. However, we've bought properties, if you have, or there are comparables of properties, which you have, of properties selling for around 115,000 in this area. Properties have sold for that, or we've bought properties for that. So, you're being honest. You're being honest with what you're offering. However, John, I can see that you have £128,000 outstanding, and we just worked that out. Now, at this point, you can always check in with yourself and just think of that person a little bit further. Just put yourself in their shoes just for a moment. Just for a moment, and bring yourself back here. Yeah, because you're not a social worker. You are helping them to move on. That's what you're doing. And you're a business person in property. So you want to get a deal done. So, you're treating them like a human being, like a person. So what I would do at that point is I would say, John, well, you've got £128,000, but you're going to have to live somewhere, aren't you? So how much money will you need for that? So you factor in some down payment for that, a deposit, 1 month's rent. So, and factor in also the fact that they're probably going to need some help to move their goods, right? because you want a vacant property. So let's say you add in another £1,000 for that. So you're now you're at £129,000. And what I would do is, just to show some good faith to that person, I would actually add in another 1,000. Now you don't need to do that, but I just feel it's a good way of doing business. Just offering a little bit more because you're making plenty in that deal anyway. So knowing that that valuation of that property is going to be 200,000 and you're getting it for 130, you could get it for 129, but you can pay 130 and make 200,000. In the whole great scheme of things, what does it matter? Think of the longevity of your business. Think about how you feel about yourself. Are you content with yourself? Are you happy in yourself knowing that you've done a good deal and you know what, you've actually helped someone to move forward as well? So these are other factors to think about. Some of them are very emotional, some of them are logical, and it's finding that balance, isn't it? So this is what we do at Premier Property. So once you've negotiated that deal, so I would give John Smith £120,000 and I would then take up my hand and get the sale agreed. Have an agreement with you. Now the agreement usually is a bit of a placebo. It's an agreement, it's there, but you know what? It's not really going to be legally binding because you haven't got any witnesses. It's not a legal contract with the solicitors. However, it's a little bit of a placebo. It is an agreement. However, a signature, your seller signing on that agreement shows that, mentally they've actually made a commitment. They feel that they've made a commitment there. Yeah? Hope I'm making sense here for you. Now, by doing this, you've secured the deal, you agree the terms, and there you have it. You got the agreement. You got the deal. The deal is done. So in the next part, I'm going to share with you in the next video. I will be sharing with you. There's a bit more I want to share right now. Okay. So I want to share with you, what do you do if it's not a deal? What can you do? How can you monetize this? How can you make it work for you? So I'm going to cover this in this video now. And all I want to say is, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, and if you are enjoying the deep information that I'm sharing with you, if you're liking this, then just feel free to click on this button and subscribe. And if you haven't watched video 1, 2, 3, and 4, I would urge you to go back and watch video 1, 2, 3, and 4. I will be sharing more videos like this. The next video that's coming up is part 5. So do look out for that. And if you subscribe, you're going to get that notification. So that's all fine. So the next part is this. So you've got the sale agreed, but what if that deal wasn't a deal? What do you do? How do you make that work for you? How do you monetize that? How do you stay in? Well, the key here is this. Always, stay with people and keep them nurtured, keep them happy as you possibly can. So if that wasn't a deal, what we would do at Premier Property is we've already assessed the situation, and if I know that property can be mortgaged, I would give them a number for a good mortgage broker. I mean, we're very blessed, to be fair. It hasn't happened overnight, but we are very blessed with very good contacts, which I share with people. So I'd give them one of my very, very good contacts who would get them out of that mortgage situation, because that mortgage, they were paying a very high interest rate, where the mortgage broker would get them a really good interest rate, like we have in the market right now. And if it's not the mortgage interest rate, then you can help them with something like the number for a local citizens advice bureau, who can help them and guide them, because what the seller probably doesn't know is they can stop a repossession 3 times. As active investors, we can stop that repossession happening 3 times, and the courts are usually on the side of the seller. But typically sellers don't know that, even investors don't know that. So if the deal is not a deal, you can help them in some shape and form. So you can do something like this. Give them a number to the Citizens Advice Bureau. Leave them with a nice taste in their mouth, knowing that, you was really good. The guy was really good. You really helped them. You're following what I'm saying. Which means that you can keep in touch, and they will also recommend you to other people. So this is the ways how you can actually do deals. Now, once you got the deal agreed, the next part is the most important. So the 5th video I'm sharing with you is the most important out of all of the 5 to help you to build your own financial economy, so you're not dependent upon anyone. And property is beautiful. I love property. It helps you to do this.